This lecture is on putting money into the economy or taking money out of the economy. First of all, let's notice that by the economy, technically we mean the private economy. So first of all, we should think about an aggregate macroeconomy as a collection of private individuals. And when we do think about them as a collection of private individuals, each seeking out their own ends and goals and aspirations, it's pretty clear that the government that they create stands outside that private economy in some ways. So we think of the Fed and the rest of the government as being outside the economy. The reason I say that is it wouldn't make sense for the Fed to print money. It could just print it and keep it in-house, and then it would increase the amount of money in the economy if it were part of the economy. But it's not. So we like to think of the Fed as separate from the economy, and the economy is made up of a bunch of individuals. So in this environment, certainly one way the Fed could put money into the economy is by what's called a helicopter drop. Economists sometimes use that idea as a gift. We think of, hey, to simplify things, just imagine the Fed flew a helicopter over the economy and dropped money magically down on all the people equally. And that's a nice way to think about things sometimes, just to think about the effects of money. But it's not a very realistic way as to how the Fed increases the money supply or decreases the money supply. The real way the Fed increases or decreases the money supply in general is it must buy or sell something in the economy. So it has to conduct a trade with a person in the economy, back to the private individuals. So let's walk through an example. If the Fed buys something, they get something, let's say a car. In exchange, they give that person money. So now the Fed has a car and the person has cash. So the Fed has effectively increased the money supply. Likewise, if the Fed wants to decrease the money supply, they can sell something to the economy. Here's the economy. They can sell a car. And when they do it, some person in this economy will have an extra car and will have less money in the economy. Now, in reality, the US Federal Reserve, our central bank, and central banks in most countries do not trade cars. What they do, first of all, why not? If they bought and sold specific goods, it would benefit a single company or single industry unduly. So one effort is to treat everybody fairly. So the Fed tends to go in and buy bonds. Again, they don't just buy any bonds, because you could buy them from a specific company and that would affect that company specifically. So instead, in the United States, traditionally, the Federal Reserve Bank buys US Treasuries. So they buy them from an actual person who's a bond trader. They have a specific list of preferred traders, which are actually companies full of individuals that are bond traders. And when they sell stuff, they sell US Treasuries. These actions, which are actions where they have gone out and conducted an operation in the open market, are called open market operations, or OMOs. And that's the primary way the Fed regularly conducts monetary business. They trade billions of dollars in the New York bond market weekly, for example, through regular open market operations. So again, In order to increase the money supply, imagine the economy. I have to take something out. I have to buy these two markers from the economy and put money in. So I buy a bond and put money in, and this increases the money supply. Or I sell the markers and take money out, and that decreases the money supply. One last quick note. When they do this, notice they bought real valued assets or they sold something with a real value. So the United States Fed and any central bank actually makes money on every transaction they conduct. The money they make, the revenue they generate, is called seigniorage revenue. In the United States, it's not a large part of our budget, but in some countries it can be a large part of their government budget because it's generating revenue every time they make a trade.